Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if it's your first time, welcome. My name is Shvon. I am an intuitive tarot therapist, a spiritual counselor and spiritual coach, as well as a Reiki master practitioner, and I'm in school for psychology at the moment. So today I wanted to do a special new spread that I've never done before, and this I just was inspired to do. I was just watching some videos online and this just came to me, so I felt like I needed to do it. So this is called the surrender spread. This is something completely new for me. Usually I just freestyle, but I mixed a couple of different things together, so we're gonna see how this goes. So I've already pulled all these cards because it would just be way too long of a video if I did this all with the shuffling and the choose and everything like that. So I wrote out, so we've got, this is for both the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and each category is about what we need to surrender, how we're going to surrender it, and what the outcome will be. So we've got, in the surrender spread, we've got what is blocking the twin flame union, we've got what it's affecting in the physical, we've got what needs to be surrendered, how we can surrender it, what change we can expect in the physical, and what the overall outcome will be. So let's get started. What is blocking? So we got, I'm gonna go, yeah, actually we'll go from this way. So we got melt into divine desire. And coming up as a blockage, it's this desire, the fact that we're letting this passion control us. We're letting this passion overtake our whole life. We're becoming consumed and melting into the need for union, this need for confirmation, this need for information, this need for whatever it is to do with the twin flame union. It's become this obsession. We got healthy lifestyle coming up as a blockage, or what's blocking the union. And I don't know about you guys, but this especially applies to me. I feel like I've been hermiting really hard lately. I've not been eating as healthy as I normally do. And I feel like it's just been, you know, I haven't been exercising at all. I feel like my body's just kind of starting to crumble on me. So it's really important to involve physical health as well as spiritual health, because I feel like sometimes we can get too focused on one or the other and then lose track or lose motivation in one other aspect of our life because we're focusing too much on another. So that's especially true for me, and if that resonates with you, then welcome to the club. Let's get through this together. So we got under blockages Native American. And this is from the Past Life Oracle card deck by Doreen Virtue and Brian Weiss. And so Native American issues can be anything from colonization. So there was like huge genocide there. Could be issues with our earth spirituality, shamanism, anything like that. But for me, what I'm getting from this under blockages is that there's definitely past life karma, and that's been a recurring theme, especially for twin flames, because we are one soul. So of course we have these contracts and we have these things that we play out continually, lifetime through lifetime. So Native American may be asking us that to reconnect with nature, to reconnect with our roots, to reconnect with spirituality in a more earthly realm. Rather than, you know, calling out to angels and stuff, it's asking us to get back to the nature spirits, get back to our tribal roots, get back to our ancestral lineages. So that could be a blockage if we're feeling cut off from that. Another blockage we got is prostitute. And since it's a blockage, I'm going to read the shadow attribute. The shadow is places material considerations and security above self-empowerment. So this is, wow, my throat chakra just went like crazy on that one. Ooh, yeah, this is a big one. This is something that I think everybody does to a certain degree. This is a blockage that I think we all have, especially in our capitalist society that we live in. It's controlled by money. It's controlled by work, and you have to work and make money. And a lot of the time, people will sacrifice their passions, what brings them joy. They'll sacrifice what they truly should be doing for something that is financially lucrative, but does not fulfill them. And this brings about that prostitute energy. So, you know, we've got to break away from that. We've got to get back to being our authentic self. But we'll go into that later with all the other cards. So, another blockage is pay attention to the red flags. The signs are cautioning you. So this is saying that there's definitely red flags being presented by our higher self and by our guides, asking us to pay attention to these signs, pay attention to the things that they're trying to bring to our attention, that they're trying to get us to acknowledge this is a blockage, this is what needs to be dealt with, and trying to make it very obvious. And the ultimate one, and this was the first card that we got for blockages, is ego. Of course, ego is the main blockage. Every other blockage stems from ego. The illusion of being trapped, placing too much importance on material items, and getting caught up in fear and worry. And so that was echoing the prostitute, echoing, you know, this disconnection, feeling disconnected. The ego is seeking to control, but it's through that feeling of disconnection that it seeks for control. So now we're moving on to what the blockages are affecting. So it seems as though the blockages are affecting passion. It's affecting, and Sekhmet is the Egyptian goddess of the sun, I believe. I'm going to have to do some more research on her because she keeps coming up for me. And so anyway, the passion of the lion heart, the blockages are affecting our ability to move forward, our ability to find our passion in our heart and then follow through with what we want or what we really feel passionate about. And it's the lion heart to me is like courage. You know, we're being affected by these blockages, and they're making us feel fear because the ego is all about fear and worry. So we're being pulled out of the courage that we would have, and because it's being blocked by fear. Then we got the blockages are affecting our peace. They're affecting our peace of mind. They're affecting our inner peace, our inner balance. They're affecting our happiness ultimately. The blockages are affecting our high priest or priestess. It's affecting our ability to tap into our inner knowledge. It's affecting our ability to be able to discern from a higher state of consciousness, to be able to have clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience, and clairsentience. It's affecting our higher senses and our knowledge and our wisdom. It's blocking our knowledge and wisdom that we have from past lives, that we have from within, that we have from source. So that's a big one. It's affecting the detective. Oh, this is interesting. So the blocks are affecting... Okay, so for this card, I feel as though the effect of the blockages is leading to us being the detective. In the shadow attribute, it's voyeurism, falsifying information. In the light attribute, it's great powers of observation and intuition and desire to seek out truth. So just like with the high priestess, it's blocking our ability to seek out truth. It's blocking our ability to trust our intuition and to discern truth from within. And then through that, you know, we're looking externally for confirmation, and that's just further confusing us because nothing external can ever be our truth. Our truth comes from within. You can resonate with things externally, but ultimately your truth and your confirmation will come from within. So what else it's affecting is our ability to express our love. So that's why we're feeling blocked right now in the communication, either at the 5D or the 3D level with the twin flames, with the divine masculine and the divine feminine. We're both feeling like we're unable to express our love in a way that is healthy and open and truthful and honest. And it's being blocked by the ego. It's being blocked by the fear and all of these things that we need to move out of. And the last one that we got is the Seven of Summer, under what the blockages are affecting. And this is the Seven of Cups equivalent, and that's about confusion. Not having so many options and not knowing which one to pick, not knowing what to choose. And that inability to make a choice is based on not being able to connect with our inner intuition, not being able to connect with our inner truth, because of course, how are you going to make a decision when you have no inner guidance? You've got your inner compass is just spinning out of control. You know, we're being blocked by the ego, and so we're procrastinating, we're losing power, we're feeling indecisive, we're confused, we're overanalyzing, we're getting too much into the analytical, rational mind, and that's how the blocks are affecting us in our day-to-day life and in the union. Next we have what needs to be surrendered. So, what needs to be surrendered? Karmic grace. We need to surrender to karmic grace. We need to surrender to the lessons that we're trying to learn, and to understand that everything is happening for a reason, and to stop resisting it, to stop letting our ego take over and go into this resistance mode, because that resistance is what's causing all the problems. It's what's causing all the blocks and all the dysfunction. We need to surrender our beloved one. We need to surrender this need for twin flame union. We need to surrender this obsession with our twin flame. Because Archangel Shamuel, Spirit, God, and our guides and our higher selves are helping us with this spiritual soulmate relationship. So we need to surrender that to them. Because us fixating on it and obsessing over it and creating all of these ego blocks around it is hindering the process. We're actually blocking the process by trying to control it. Baby. So this is under what needs to be surrendered. So we need to surrender the need for, I'm feeling as though we need to surrender to what happened in the past, what happened in our childhoods, or what happened in the past with our divine masculine or divine feminine. This could also mean that if you're really, really focused on starting a family, on having a baby, then it's asking you to surrender and just allow this to unfold naturally. Because even though your clock may be ticking, it's all going to divine timing. And again, trying to force it with the ego, trying to control it with the ego is actually blocking it. That's for those that, this is only for a small percentage of people, I feel like. And definitely not for me. What else can we surrender? Or what needs to be surrendered? The goddess. So for divine masculines, it's asking you to surrender to your divine feminine in yourself. It's saying to let go of your divine feminine in the physical, to not to push her away, not in that way, but to detach. Because this attachment is what's causing the imbalance. And it's asking you to surrender to your inner divine feminine, to find balance within yourself between your masculine and feminine attributes and your masculine and feminine energies. And for the feminines, it's asking us to surrender to our true nature, which is our goddess nature in the light, which is the feminine expressed through wisdom, nature, life force, and sensuality. So instead of being that prostitute, which is one of the blockages, and instead of letting that disconnection from nature rule us, we need to surrender to our true essence and to come back into our true wisdom, which comes from our higher self, which is our inner goddess. What else needs to be surrendered? Flirt. So we need to stop, we kind of need to stop putting ourselves out there. We kind of need to stop trying to get this going, because it's going to happen on its own. And again, by forcing it, we're actually blocking it. So we need to surrender to it unfolding as it should. And another thing that I'm getting from this is that we need to, because it's lighthearted energy, we need to surrender to our lighthearted energy. We need to kind of take a step back. And for those of you, this is a message for some of you, for those of you who are taking this too seriously, it's asking you to surrender to the lighthearted energy of it, to try and see the light side, to try and bring a little levity to this situation, because by taking it so seriously and by overanalyzing and by worrying and going into fear, it's blocking the unfoldment of the process. Again, so we've got a lot of recurring themes here, but the last thing that needs to be surrendered, or that we can surrender to, is the King of Summer. Honorable, devoted, mature, and warm-hearted, a romantic partner you can trust. Excellent advice that comes from the heart. Getting involved in a culture or creative endeavor. So I feel, first of all, I'm getting from this that just as the divine masculine was being guided by that goddess card to surrender to his inner feminine and to detach from the feminine in the 3D, detach from expectations, I should clarify there. Not to detach completely, but to detach from expectations. This is the same thing for the feminine. It's asking us to detach from the masculine and any expectations we would have around the union or around the masculine himself. It's asking us to surrender into trust, knowing that our romantic partner will come when the time is right, and that things will unfold as they should, as they're divinely guided to do. And to trust, to surrender to our heart, to the inner knowledge that we had that was previously being blocked by the ego, and which we were being confused about here. So it's saying to surrender to the heart rather than the mind, to step into the heart space. And lastly, it's asking us to get in touch with our divine masculine in ourselves. Again, just like the goddess card was asking the divine masculine to get in touch with his feminine self, it's asking the divine feminines to get in touch with our masculine self, because we need to heal it within ourselves before we can come into union. We need to be whole within ourselves, and what that means is to have a balanced masculine and feminine energies within both of us, because both the divine masculine and the divine feminine have both, and it's about getting it to 50-50. And right now I feel like we're at like maybe 40-60, maybe not, maybe less, maybe it's more imbalanced for certain people, but we're coming more into balance, and the goal is to get it to be 50-50. Okay, so so the next one is, how can we surrender? So we're being asked to use our discernment. We're being asked to use our judgment to be able to discern what we need to surrender and how we're going to go about doing it. So we've been told what the blockages are, we've been told what they're affecting, and we've been told what needs to be surrendered. And now it's saying, so now that you know this, use this information in action, in practice. Use this information to surrender. Use your inner intuition, your inner guidance to make this decision instead of procrastinating. And it's asking us to have courage. because that's how we're going to surrender. We're going to find that lion-hearted energy, like we saw under the effects of the blockage. We're going to get back in touch with our courage, and we're going to stand up for our beliefs, but by doing so, we're going to surrender what we know is no longer serving us, which is all of these blockages, which is the ego, ultimately. So it's important to have courage through this process and just know that everything is unfolding as it should. How can we surrender? Ships. So for me, this card is saying we can surrender by letting it go. Water represents emotions, and the wind pushes the ship through the water. So what I'm getting from this is that we need to release and surrender all of these blockages to the wind and let that guide us through our emotions. So basically, let it go. Just let it go. Let it go and let it sail away. That song Sail Away has popped into my head now. Sail away, sail away, sail away. How can we surrender? We need to address the fact that we've become addicts. Some of us, not all of us. If this doesn't resonate with you, that's fine, just leave it. If it does, then it's for you. That's how you know. It's your inner guidance system will kick in and you'll know this is for you. So some of us may have gotten to the point now where the twin flame union has become an addiction, which is an imbalance, which is a blockage. And so what do you do when you need to get over an addiction? You kick the habit. You let it go. You go cold turkey. You cut it off. You go through withdrawal. And yeah, that kind of sucks. But when you come out the other side, you're more clear-headed. Because addicts don't see things clearly. Addicts are their vision is blurred by the drug. And I feel as though some of us, especially divine feminines, we focused too much on the masculine, and now our vision has become blurred because we're so focused on them that our inner guidance system is no longer calibrated to us, to the feminine. And so we're getting stuck in that confusion, in that over-analytical ego, right? So we need to break that addiction. Yeah, so the light attribute is it's helping us to recognize and confront this addictive behavior so that we don't compromise our integrity and honesty and allow this addictive pattern to have authority over our inner spirit. That's exactly what we were just talking about. So that's perfect. How can we surrender? Taking off the mask. We can surrender by stopping being deceptive to ourselves. Stop the self-deception. Take off the mask that you're wearing to yourself. You're hiding from yourself. Addicts often will lie to themselves as well as everybody else. They'll say, no, I'm not addicted. They're in denial because they don't want to face the truth, because they've put this mask on, because it's so overwhelming that they feel like they can't face it. And that's why courage is coming up, and that's why we need that lion-hearted courage. We need to stop being the cowardly lion and face our shadow sides, our blockages, our ego. We need to face it head on and say, no more. I'm kicking the habit. Enough is enough. Because this relationship is divinely guided. It's going to unfold as it should. And so by becoming addicted and by being trapped in the ego, we're blocking it. We're blocking the union by doing that. And then the final one we got for how we can surrender is the Two of Autumn. So again, we're seeing with that flirt card that was saying, open up to the lightheartedness or surrender to the lightheartedness. So how we can surrender is to bring a little fun into it. Yes, we're juggling a lot. Yes, we have a lot on our mind and in our physical reality. But we have this exceptional talent for multitasking, and we can use that to become our true selves, to get back in touch with this ourself that we've become disconnected from. It's time to take off the mask and get back to who we were, which is our goddess self, which is our divine feminine, not the ego self. And we need to remain lighthearted about that. Again, getting too serious can lead to ego control. So allow it to be fun, allow it to be lighthearted, allow it to unfold naturally. And it can be a difficult process. So keeping that joy, or trying to find the joy in it and be thankful for the process itself, will help us to get through it. Okay, so what change can we expect once we surrender and clear the blockages? In the physical realm, we've got authentic voice, which, to me, this is saying that we can expect communication. We can expect to find our authentic voice within ourselves, whether that's your inner voice that's guiding you, your higher self, whether that's your ability to discern, or whether that's your ability to communicate your authentic self with those around you, and especially your twin flame. So this could be, once we clear all these blockages and let go of the ego and let go of our addiction, that's when the communication is going to come in. That's when the authentic, honest, heart-to-heart conversations are going to take place. What can we expect in the physical? Relationship harmony. So yeah, our hearts are going to be opened. The angels are going to step in. They're going to say, oh, now you're doing the work. Now we can really move the process along. Now we can really help you to get things moving now that the arguments and conflicts are being resolved. Because the arguments and the conflicts stemmed from the ego, which was the blockage, which we needed to let go of, which we needed to become aware of, and to surrender all of the things that were causing the blockage, which was the addiction and the need for union. It's not a need. It's not even a want, because wants are needs too. It's the same sort of vibrational energy. So you got to release that and just know that this is going to happen if it's meant to happen. And if it's not, then it's not. Let it go. What change can we expect in the physical? Scribe or writer. So again, this to me speaks of communication. This to me speaks of text messages, letters, any kind of information coming in. Good news. Love letters, love poems. Or this could be your higher self communicating with you through automatic writing. And for those of you who don't know what that is, I highly suggest Googling it, because it's super interesting. And I've done it a couple of times, and I need to start doing it more, because that's a good way to communicate with your inner self, your higher self, and get some clear, decisive answers. So what more change can we expect in the physical? Child eternal. In the light, I'm feeling very much attracted to the light attributes, which are determination to remain young in body, mind, and spirit, ability to see things with fresh eyes. So once we clear the blockages, we're going to return to that child eternal, that inner child that enjoys everything and finds the joy and finds the lightheartedness in every situation. And that's what's going to manifest. That's what's going to bring us into union, is getting back to that inner child, not that ego self that needs to control. The inner child is a free spirit. The inner child just runs free and plays and does whatever and makes friends with everybody. There was no fear. There was no worry with the inner child. Okay, so the last two, I know what they are. I'm excited to share them with you. What change can we expect in the physical? Engagement. So once we release the blockages, once we let go of the addiction, once we are able to reconnect with our higher selves and our intuitive self and our inner guidance, our love life will ascend to a higher level of commitment. Now, whether this is a physical engagement, like a marriage in the 3D realm, or increased communication, which is what we were seeing in the previous cards in this pile. Or this could be just you feeling more connected to everyone around you and more connected to yourself. And then ultimately, because it's a byproduct of that connection, more connected to your twin flame. And so that bond will deepen. And the last one, the sun. The sun is about healing. The sun is about shedding light on things and being illuminated. And in this one, it's, you know, plans that work out perfectly, amazing ideas that lead to rewards and commendations and gratitude for the blessings of life. So this is a beautiful change that we can expect to see in the physical realm when we let go of all of the blocks and let go of all of the resistance and let go of all of the need for control. We're going to heal, we're going to grow, we're going to blossom and bloom, and we're going to ride forward. And see, he's jumping over that wall, he's jumping over that barrier. That was the ego block. And he's riding in, and with the trumpet, he's declaring communication. Communication, open communication. That seems to be a theme with this particular... This, what do you call it? You know what I mean. And the last one, what is the overall outcome? So, the overall outcome of all of this, releasing the blockages, we have empowered service. Empowered service. We're going to stand in our service to humanity. We're going to stand in our service to ourselves, our true authentic service, which is to the all, rather than to ourselves. We're going to get out of our selfish ego mindset and come back into our compassion and our empathy. And, you know, once you connect with your higher self, you realize that it's bigger than just you. You realize that it's bigger than just you and your twin flame even. It's bigger than all that. It's the whole collective. So we're going to become empowered through our higher self again, reconnecting with the divine aspects of ourselves, and this will lead to empowered service of the all, which is the ultimate goal of twin flames. So if you feel as though you're in a twin flame relationship and it's just havoc and chaos and fighting and fear and all of these things, and you're not doing any service to each other or humanity, chances are pretty good that's not a twin flame relationship. Even though you may feel that it is, chances are pretty good that's a karmic relationship, or at the very best, a soulmate that you may have some karmic ties with that needed to be resolved. But more often than not, it's karmic for sure. It's a negative karmic relationship. So when true twin flames come into union, the whole point is empowered service to humanity. They come together to serve humanity as a whole, as complete spiritual beings on a mission of service to the all. So the overall outcome, we can expect moon cycles to be an influence on this. The overall outcome is being influenced by the cycles, by the solar system. It's by the planets. You know, we're all influenced by these celestial bodies because these celestial bodies have great energies. They are physical beings as well. And because they're so large and their consciousness is so large, they they affect our consciousness. So there's, what do we have? We've got a new moon coming up on the 17th, and we've got the second full moon of March coming up on the 31st, I guess the 30th or 31st, whatever the end of March is, the last day. So we've got 2 full moons this month, and this new moon is coming up. So the new moon is a perfect time to start fresh. The new moon is a perfect time to set your intentions for what you would like to release, what you would like to build upon, and moving forward, what your intentions are for the next couple of weeks until the full moon. And then the full moon is the perfect time to release and to get rid of all of these ego. So do a ceremony or just set your intention that you want to release the ego, you want to release these addictive patterns and this disconnection from your higher self. So another overall outcome, trust and faith. Yeah, so the overall outcome being that when we release our ego need for control, we connect back with the divine, and the opposite of fear and worry is trust and faith. So we started out with the ego, fear and worry, and we're moving into letting go and embracing trust and faith. So surrendering to trust and faith, and knowing that the ego is not necessary, that the ego is not serving us. Okay, so now we got, what is the overall outcome? And we got the athlete. And that's interesting to me because I get the athlete a lot for the Divine Masculine. So this could be a message directly for the Divine Masculine, that the overall outcome of letting go of the ego will be stepping into the light attributes of the athlete, because I feel like every time it's come up for the masculine, it's been shadow. So the light attributes being dedication to transcending physical limits, including handicaps, development of personal willpower, and strength of spirit. So it's physical strength, but it's also strength of will. And when you have a strong will, you can use that to be the manifester, the creator, the alchemist in your life. You use that to create your physical reality. Through your will, you can change anything physical around you. You can change the way you eat. You can change the way you look. You can change the way you feel. And by doing so, you change your life. So this is a big life-changing thing. We by letting go of the ego and connecting to our higher self, we're getting back our ability to ultimately control, which is ironic and it's paradoxical. And I know I use that word a lot, but it's just so applicable. By letting go of the need for control, you ultimately get the ability to control, but it's control from a light attribute rather than a shadow one. So that's for both feminine and masculine. What is the overall outcome? Getting to know each other. As you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your bond deepens. So again, with the what change can we expect, and then the overall outcome, what change can we expect? We saw a lot of communication, authentic voice, scribes and writers. We saw that. So getting to know each other. It'll open us up by letting those barriers fall away, by letting the blocks fall away and surrendering to the divine course of action. We're ultimately going to get to know each other. So have no fear. But it's time now to detach. And the last one that we got for the overall outcome, which is so beautiful, is unity. So unity of the twin flames. This is the overall outcome. You guys, you're self-sabotaging by allowing the ego to come in and run amok among this union and try to control everything and try to disconnect you. Ultimately, the ego, you're letting your ego take over because you're allowing fear and worry and the analytical mind to take over. But ultimately, that blocks union. So this is saying, the ultimate outcome of letting go of the ego and surrendering to your higher self, to the higher purpose, to the divine timing is unity. So have no fear. Have trust and faith. Because that's the outcome as well. We're going to have trust and faith, which is going to bring us into unity. So that's beautiful. And before I close out this reading, I'm going to pull one card, overall outcome from the Crystal Oracle. One card, please, for the overall outcome of union between the twin flames. Okay. Azeztulite. I don't even know how to say that. Azeztulite. Am I saying that right? That rhymed. Let's see what we have for Azeztulite. I'm just going to put it down. Number 26. Cosmic evolution. Azeztulite are imbued, Azestulites. Okay, so plural, are imbued with immense spiritual energy and information for guidance and insight. They are here to help Earth ascend into a higher expression of consciousness. Excuse me. You are a being of light here to help Earth evolve. Although you need to rise above mundane concerns, Keep your feet on the ground and deal with the everyday. Too much emphasis on sweetness and light leads to ignoring your shadow energies, which become inauthentic and lethal. Niceness, if not acknowledged and integrated. Stay real. Leave your ego behind. Okay. You are here to represent spiritual light on earth and help it evolve. Keep yourself heard. A project is successful no matter what. Avoid becoming impractical and having too high an opinion of yourself to the detriment of others. Retain your humility. Recognizing that every soul is precious ensures you remain in cosmic harmony. Yeah, so it's saying to step away from the ego, balancing our shadow side and our light side, which we saw throughout this. Coming back into service, which we saw as like the overall outcome, being authentic with your voice, which we saw in the what change we can expect, and ultimately getting back into communication with our higher consciousness, which is what we saw that we were becoming disconnected from. So that's beautiful. The frequency of a zestolite is exceptionally high. It's for all chakras, but especially the highest crown chakra. The timing is every moment, and the soul path is assisting the earth to evolve. So that's essentially the twin flame union's whole point. The whole reason that twin flames are separate in the physical is so that they can come back into unity, which releases 0 point energy, and they come into spiritual service to the whole. So that's the whole point. It's not just a relationship, and I've said this many times, but I'm going to continue to reiterate it for those who do not yet fully understand the magnitude of what being a twin flame entails. So if you've just come across it and you think, oh, my boyfriend's my twin flame, I would connect to your higher self and really seek the truth there, because that's not the case all the time. And if you seek the answer within yourself and you get a clear yes, and you are on your spiritual path and you're doing this shadow work and you're dealing with your ego and you're ascending to a higher level of consciousness and you're embodying this in your everyday life and you're moving into service in your everyday life, and then you get into union with your divine twin flame and you go into service together, then yes, definitely, that was your twin flame and you were right. But if none of that sounds like you and your twin flame, then you may have some questions to ask yourself. You may have to use your discernment, which we saw over here, and finding that inner knowledge, your inner wisdom from your high priestess or your high priest. Okay, guys, I'm going to close it out with that. I want to thank everybody for watching, sharing, subscribing, liking if you resonated. I love seeing your comments and your positive, contributions to the community. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, because I'd like to do a Q&A as well. So if I get enough spiritual questions or questions about twin flames or about the ascension journey or process, I would love to do a Q&A session with you guys, and so we'll go from there. If you feel called to donate for my services, for my time, for these readings, I would greatly appreciate that, as I'm going through a big transition in my life. And it's just a good energy exchange, because when you give, you receive. Like we've talked about in previous videos, you open up the channels to allow that flow of movement. So even if you give $1, it opens up the flow of giving and receiving, so that you will receive. So you give, you receive, you receive, you give. Okay, guys, I love you. I thank you so much again. Love you, love you, love you. I can't say it enough times.